Good morning and happy Money Making Monday. My name's CJ Curry. Thank you so much for joining me in today's video. We're going to be taking a look at some NBA player props over on my favorite place to play player props, PrizePicks. So if you're new to the channel and haven't subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button now. Free content being dropped here regularly on YouTube. And while you're there, go ahead and hit the like button for me. I'm going to set today's like goal at a modest 99.5 likes. I'm taking the over, meaning I need your help to get 100 or more likes in today's video. I think we definitely smashed that with this 9-game NBA slate. Speaking of this 9-game NBA slate, let's go ahead and slide on into it and see what games we have going on today. We've got a couple of different ones. Portland at Detroit, Phoenix at Philadelphia, Indiana at Brooklyn. We've got Orlando at New York, Milwaukee at Toronto, San Antonio at Chicago, the Los Angeles Clippers at the Minnesota Timberwolves, Dallas at Memphis, and Miami at Sacramento. So a total of 9 games on the slate. Definitely some impactful injury news that's looming out there. D'Angelo Russell of the Brooklyn Nets already starting to miss some time on his new team here. He's questionable with a shin injury. If he is out, you could expect Ben Simmons and Keon Johnson running point. You got RJ Barrett of the Toronto Raptors listed as questionable with an illness. There's a lot of illnesses going around today, not just in the NBA, but in general. So make sure you guys are sanitizing. Make sure you guys are taking your multivitamins and building up your immune systems and drinking your water, okay? But yeah, RJ Barrett dealing with an illness. So if he is out, then you're going to see Emmanuel Quickly, who's returned to the mix here for the Toronto Raptors in recent games, and Scotty Barnes get a big usage bump. And then you'll also see Agbaji start in his place if he is out. Speaking of out, both Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic are out tonight for the Dallas Mavericks. So neither one of those guys, two of their best players, not going to be playing tonight. So it's going to be a big bump for guys like PJ Washington, Klay Thompson. You're going to see Spencer Dinwiddie probably slide into the starting lineup. So definitely something to kind of keep your eye on. Ja Morant out again. Seems like Ja Morant has been off the floor more than he's been on it this season and in the last couple seasons. So get well soon, Ja. But he's dealing with a shoulder injury, which means Scottie Pippen Jr. is going to start in his spot. Desmond Bane is listed as doubtful, so Memphis is going to be very short-handed in that backcourt. With Bane out, you're going to see a lot of those other starters like a Jaren Jackson Jr. get a huge usage bump, and John Conchar will likely start in his spot. Jimmy Butler's out. Yeah, a lot of drama down in South Beach, Miami. Jimmy Butler, I don't know if he's going to play another game for the Miami Heat. We'll just have to see. But in his place, you'll see Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo hopefully step up, and they should both get huge usage bumps. De'Aaron Fox is listed as doubtful. He's dealing with a bruised glute. His status is still kind of up in the air. I wouldn't be surprised if he got changed from a doubtful to a questionable, but right now he's listed as a game time decision. Both Keon Ellis and Malik Monk will take over ball handling duties for the Sacramento Kings in his absence if he does sit out again. And then you got Joel Embiid of the Philadelphia 76ers, questionable with a foot injury. Yabusele and Andre Drummond would slide into those center minutes if Joel Embiid does not give it a go. Karl Anthony Towns is listed as questionable with a knee injury against the Orlando Magic. Precious Achiuwa and Jericho Sims would be the guys most likely to take Karl Anthony Towns minutes if he cannot play. And then, of course, without Cat in the starting lineup, guys like OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, they would all get pretty massive usage bumps. No Jeremy Grant for the Portland Trailblazers. Denny Avdia has been playing very well in his absence. We've actually got a Portland Trailblazer player that we're going to talk about in just a minute. And then Cameron Johnson, another guy for the Brooklyn Nets, who is out along with Cameron Thomas. So you got D'Angelo Russell listed as questionable, Cam Thomas, Cam Johnson, both out. So Brooklyn, I don't know. Looks like they're tanking, but they're both going to be out for Brooklyn tonight. Jaden Ivey is out. He's been dealing with a leg injury after playing Orlando recently. Asar Thompson has been starting in his spot. And then you've got Orlando Magic's Jalen Suggs listed as doubtful. He kind of tweaked his back in his last couple games ago. And then you got Cole Anthony Black, supposed to kind of absorb some of those minutes that Jalen Suggs has left behind. Kelly Oubre, Philadelphia 76ers, questionable with a hand injury. So more Maxey, more George, and possibly more Embiid if Embiid gives it a go. And you got Ben Simmons of the Brooklyn Nets listed as questionable. Add him to the list of long injuries for the Brooklyn Nets. His status questionable with a back/calf injury. And then all the top rotation players, whoever decides to give it a go for the Brooklyn Nets, they'll get a big usage bump, of course. And outside of that, you got Miles McBride, Santi Aldama, Andre Jackson, Haywood Highsmith, Royce O'Neal, Marcus Smart, and Luke Kennard all on the injury reports as well. Now, you want to know why NBA viewership is down? Well, it's because some of the best players in the league can't seem to get healthy, can't seem to play. When you pay a big ticket or you want to tune in to go and watch these guys on TV, well, hey, they're not there. And you're left watching guys like John Conchar start. So anyway, let's get into the picks. First one we got today is DeAndre Aton. He has been upgraded from questionable to probable tonight. He's taking on the Detroit Pistons, which means he'll probably be matched up against Jalen Duren. For me, the points and rebounds for DeAndre Aton really stood out. He's at 22.5 PR, and I'm just seeing some massive projections for DeAndre Aton. So the projection systems, projection models, various ones, they all have DeAndre Aton going well over 22.5 points plus rebounds. Again, no Jeremy Grant in the lineup is really going to help a guy like DeAndre Aton when it comes to maybe a little bit more usage, maybe a little bit more rebound chances. So let's take a look at DeAndre Aton. We're going to go over here to the Daily Grind Fantasy Optimizer. Obviously, this Daily Grind Fantasy Optimizer is a tool you've seen me feature in previous videos. This thing's great because what it does is it goes out there and it checks out all the different sports books, all the different places where you can place a bet on DeAndre Aton's points plus rebounds. And what it does is it looks at the odds on all of these different sites, and it basically takes out the juice or the vig, the hidden costs that these sports books are charging you to take this bet. And then it gives you basically the true odds or fair odds, and it presents it as a percentage for you. Chances of this to hit 52.44%, meaning, it's not a slam dunk. There's nothing that's 100% guarantee, but we'll take that 2.44% edge. You got to remember that when they put these player props out on these sports books, they try to set them as close as possible to a 50-50 proposition, a coin flip, in other words. So we are getting a slight edge or advantage here at a 2.44% lean toward us, to our favor, okay? So let's go take a look at some projections now that we have that information, that it is a positive expected value play. Now, this is one of my favorite tools out there. It's called the RotoWire PrizePicks Optimizer, they call it. Now, what this tool does is it kind of gives you a few different very important data points, and it puts it in a very easily digestible format for you. So if you want to take this tool for a spin, well, I've got links to the Daily Grind Fantasy Optimizer, links to the RotoWire tool down in the description of today's video. You just go down there, you use those links, you're going to save yourself some money. You're going to be able to get an all-access free pass to this RotoWire tool for 2 days. 2 days all access, so you guys can get your hands on it. Let me know what you think of it. But DeAndre Aton, lots of lean more options according to RotoWire. What they do is they kind of look at the DFS pick'em sites, so they compare PrizePicks to Underdog to Sleeper and to some of these other sites. And then they also compare to various sports books, so your FanDuels, your DraftKings, your BetMGMs, your Caesars, and all that. They do that, so you get a little bit of plus EV action there. Then they also take a look at the projections, so they have their own proprietary projection models, and then they're also going to give you a quick glimpse at the hit rates, both past and present, from previous seasons and beyond. So good looking information here for DeAndre Aton. If you click this little icon next to his name, it pops open an even more in-depth player card, giving you more information on DeAndre Aton. It says Aton rest is now listed as probable for Monday's game against the Detroit Pistons, which is what you want to see. When we scroll down just a little bit, you can see that here's how they're comparing to the DFS pick'em sites. Most pick'em sites have them at 22.5. Sports books, a couple of the sports books have them at 23.5 points plus rebounds. So maybe the 22.5 is just a little bit too low for DeAndre Aton. And then when you look at the projection, their proprietary projection has DeAndre Aton at 26.48 projected points plus rebounds going up against the Pistons today. And then you can continue to scroll down and get even more information, recent hit rates for DeAndre Aton, or if you want to just look at the 2024 hit rates this season, he's hit this points plus rebound line in 64% of the games in which he's appeared. He's averaging a healthy 24.3 points plus rebounds per game. So hopefully this information helps you out. This information, you take what you like, you leave the rest behind. But you're here to gather information, and I'm providing that for you for free. So hopefully you guys appreciate that. If you do, again, always leave a like, hit the subscribe button. That's always much appreciated. But let me tell you something. This projection looks good, 26.48 points plus rebounds, but we all should know by now that not every projection model is going to be a carbon copy from one model to the next. Each model tunes and tweaks things just a little bit differently. They weight things a little bit differently. So let's look at some other projection models outside of RotoWire just to make sure that we're covering our you-know-whats. Yeah, your keisters, the thing you're sitting on right now. 26.48 is a good projection. Has him going over by almost 4 points plus rebounds. But let's slide over to one of my other favorite projection tools. This one is Fantasy Labs. Fantasy Labs does a fantastic job. We're going to go punch in DeAndre Aton's name. Then we're going to slide over to the points plus rebounds category where he is projected for 26.2 points plus rebounds. So another massive edge or favorable projection in this case for DeAndre Aton to clear 22.5 PR. Last but not least, Roto Grinders has partnered up with Shot Quality and their advanced analytics, and this is another projection model that I love to use on a daily basis. Their projection for DeAndre Aton is 26.1 PR, so they've got him going well over that 22.5 out on PrizePicks. So really liking the way this first pick is looking. Let's go over to what might be considered a more dangerous or controversial pick. We're looking at Kevin Durant taking on the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, why do I say that this is controversial or potentially dangerous? Well, let's just be honest. All picks are dangerous. There's risk involved with any pick that you take, but this one in particular, the Phoenix Suns have just announced that both Bradley Beal and Yusuf Nurkic have been relegated to bench duties. They're no longer in the starting lineup, which might be a blessing for Kevin Durant and Devin Booker if you plan on taking the overs on either one of those guys. One less mouth to feed in Bradley Beal, one less mouth to feed in Yusuf Nurkic. Maybe the usage goes up for a guy like KD and a guy like Devin Booker. But Kevin Durant sitting out here at 25 points, taking on the Philadelphia 76ers. He usually gets pretty motivated to take on other teams with so-called superstars like a Paul George, a Tyrese Maxey, a Joel Embiid. And so at 25 points, this looks like one that I'm leaning toward the over on. KD's been doing a very good job of filling it up in terms of scoring the rock. So 25 points or more looks like a pretty nice bet here for Kevin Durant. But let's take a look at the Daily Grind Fantasy Optimizer because honestly, what I think doesn't matter. We go right by the stats, right by the data. And in this case, we got Kevin Durant at almost a 52% chance of hitting 25 or more points. He's at 24.5 on some books, 25.5 points on some other books. So PrizePicks said, hey, I'm going to go ahead and split the difference with you. I'm going to take 25 because it sits right between 24.5 and 25.5. Makes perfect sense, PrizePicks. I get it. But yeah, where he's at 24.5, like on PrizePicks, like he is on Pinnacle, like he is on BetMGM, like he is on Caesars, where you can find him at 24.5. There's a lot of juice. A lot of people are taking the over at 24.5. So that pretty much locks us into a pretty good chance of him landing on at least 25, but maybe he fills it up and gets 26 or more. Let's go run some projections on Kevin Durant. Things are looking pretty good. When I looked at these projections prior to hitting record on today's video, everything Kevin Durant related, besides the turnovers, is a lean more option according to this RotoWire projection tool. So that could be PRA, that could be points, that could be rebounds and assists, points and assists. Everything's leaning or looking up for KD. We're looking at the points today. Let's pop open his advanced player card. You can see that, as I mentioned before, 24.5 to 25.5 is pretty much the going rate on Kevin Durant's points today, whether it's a DFS pick'em site, whether it's a sports book. Doesn't make a difference. All of them pretty much have them at around 24.5 to 25.5. His projection is sitting close to 25.5 as well at 25.47. Not much of an edge according to the RotoWire projections, but we'll get into some more projections in just a minute. But taking a look here at Kevin Durant's performance over the 2024 season, a 70% hit rate. So 7 out of 10 games, on average, Kevin Durant's getting you at least 25 or more points. If you take a look at just his last 10 games, absolutely cooking, 80% hit rate there, averaging 30 points per game. 5 games straight now, 27, 35, 31, 29, and 25 points. He's been cooking. And like I said, you take Beal out of the starting lineup, maybe that helps Kevin Durant and Devin Booker get even more usage, more shots up. And then you got guys like Beal and Nurkic coming off the bench to kind of solidify that second unit for the Phoenix Suns. But not a bad looking option. Let's run some other projections here on Kevin Durant. We're going to go over to Fantasy Labs and go to the points category. And when we do that, Kevin Durant's projected for nearly 29 points on Fantasy Labs, 28.9 to be exact. So got to love that projection there. That's about 4 points higher than the 25 you can find him at over on PrizePicks. Notwithstanding, we're going to go over here to Shot Quality and check their projection. 26.84, just a little bit more conservative than Fantasy Labs, but we like what we're seeing here. It's still a 1.84 differential between his 25-point line over on PrizePicks. So looking pretty good for KD, which brings us to our last pick. It's PJ Washington of the Dallas Mavericks. We talked about all the injuries to guys like Kyrie Irving, Luka Doncic, which means more usage for a PJ Washington, for a Klay Thompson, potentially for a Spencer Dinwiddie, etc. But I'm liking the PRA for PJ Washington because when you come over here and you take a look at the DVP information, defense versus position, you're going to see that the Memphis Grizzlies give up quite a few points, rebounds, and assists to opposing power forwards, which is what PJ Washington is. 23.3 points per game, 10.2 rebounds per game, and nearly 5 assists per game. So they're just giving it up across the board here. One of the most soft teams when it comes to defense against the power forward position. So liking the matchup for sure. Looks good on paper. Now, what about the Daily Grind Fantasy Optimizer? Let's go run PJ Washington's name through here. Let's see if he gets the green check. When we take a look at a lot of the PJ Washington props, you got him over for rebounds and assists, under for points. They got him going under at 24.5 PRA, but it's about a coin flip, meaning this could break one way or the other. There's been, I think, 3 games he's played this season without Kyrie and without Luka. He's went over in just 1 out of 3, but some of those matchups where he went under were against the LA Clippers and more recently against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Very tough defensive teams typically against opposing forwards. The Memphis Grizzlies are not that. They are not that tough when it comes to guarding power forwards, and they're going to be shorthanded as well. But yeah, this one, not the most plus EV play out there, fair to say. But the projections, I think you'll see, look very good and make PJ Washington a worthwhile option for you. So let's go run those projections. Going over to RotoWire first and foremost here. You're seeing most of the PJ Washington props are sitting in the lean more category instead of the lean less. The ones that are lean less are just barely lean less, and that's mostly because this hit rate's pulling them down. But what this hit rate doesn't factor in is the games in which Luka and Kyrie have both been out, and so the hit rates are going to look ugly here. But again, that's because no Luka, no Kyrie today, and they're not factoring in games where or showing you games where it's just, you know, PJ Washington without Kyrie and without Luka. So anyway, over here on the PRA department, this is the one we're looking at here. We're going to pop open and look at the projection for him. 27.31 points, rebounds, and assists. Again, that's a pretty big projection. 2.81 PRA difference between the RotoWire projection and the PrizePicks line. So things are looking pretty darn good here for PJ Washington. Let's go over and take a look at PJ Washington on Fantasy Labs. So we pop in PJ Washington's name over there. 28 points, rebounds, and assists is the projection there. So projection models are absolutely loving some PJ Washington today. And, you know, for my money, I think that's going to be one of the picks that I end up taking today in my entries. Let's get you one more projection on PJ Washington. We're going to go back over to Shot Quality, and then we're going to wrap this video up. The points, rebounds, and assists projection for Shot Quality, 29.89. So again, another huge projection. He's at 27.5. Is that what we said over on PrizePicks? No, 24.5. What am I talking about? 24.5 points, rebounds, and assists. So yeah, anyway, huge differential there. 24.5 points, rebounds, and assists with a projection of 29.89. So differential of more than, what, 5? Yeah. We'll take a shot on PJ Washington. There are your 3 picks for Money Making Monday. Hopefully, like my shirt here, you see some green. Hopefully, like my shirt here, you're a winner like the Philadelphia Eagles were yesterday against the New York Giants. I appreciate everybody who's been supporting the channel, rocking with me for a while. Now that the holidays are behind us, we can get back on track here and focus on putting out regular content more often, more frequently. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you have those notifications turned on by ringing, ding-a-ling-a-ling, that bell. We'll catch you in the next video. Good luck.